To a juror in the Michael Dunn trial, speaking out about that controversial verdict, saying it was not about race. In just a few moments out here, I'll talk directly to Jordan Davis's father. We'll talk about how he feels about her statements as he joins me live here on the set. In an interview with CNN yesterday, juror number 8 talked about what she described as a, quote, wild scene as jurors debated heatedly whether to find Dunn guilty of first-degree murder in Jordan Davis's death, with jurors ultimately unable to agree. The outcome of a mistrial on that top count has sparked protests and cries of racial injustice, which, according to the juror, is why she's speaking out now.
Everybody's making this a white and black thing, and it's not. In our decision-making process, nobody brought up not one race. Never. It was never brought up.
What would you tell Jordan's family?
I would tell them that from my end, I tried. I really did try. I tried to fight for his son.
Meanwhile, this week, prosecutors said they are planning to retry Dunn on that first-degree murder charge. They say it could happen as soon as May. Joining me now, Jordan Davis's father, Ron Davis, also the family attorney, John Phillips, is here in the studio with us as well. Thank you both so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
When you hear the juror there say, Ron, when you hear the juror say that this was not about race, that it did not even come up during the deliberations, what do you make of that?
I think she's just trying to be politically correct, I guess. And if she's not, she's a little delusional, because within seconds of pulling up to the gas station, Michael Dunn told his girlfriend before she even got out of the car, "I hate that thug music." So already you have already identified the type of music, and you've already identified that they're thugs without even speaking to the boys. They could have been just the most polite boys in the world. So when you say thug music continually, and when you say it's rap crap, what he calls it, so you already know that, you know, you have a decision that you've made without even talking to the boys. I think she knows that it was about a black and white issue, in addition to other things also.
What other things?
The other thing was that, you know, you roll down the window and you tell 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds to turn down their music. Well, apparently, you know, in your neighborhood and where you're from, if you tell the kids to do something, they do it, you know, and that's the way you like to operate. But when you tell these kids who don't know you, you know, and they don't turn down their music, they turn it back up, then again, you roll down your window a second time and you say, you know, are you guys talking to me? That doesn't sound like you fear anything. And then, you know, consequently, there's shots ringing out, but you're the only one that's shooting. You're the only one that's shooting.
In that same interview that we just ran a clip of there, she said that she thought Dunn, her words, she thought Dunn was a, quote, good guy. What's your reaction to hearing that?
Well, that happens when you can put witnesses on the stand and say that he's never done this before, which doesn't mean you're a good guy, because it's the first time you ever done anything like this. The second thing is you couldn't put Jordan's character on the stand. You couldn't show that he's a family kid, that he's done all these things for the family, and that he's truly just America's kid, that he's a great kid, that he wasn't a gangster and he wasn't a thug. You couldn't put that out there, you know, because they feel that it was prejudicial to the defense. And how do you say, you know, as a juror, that you thought he was a good guy when you voted guilty for second-degree murder?
I want to play a bit of Michael Dunn's. This is a bit of his one of the jailhouse phone calls that he made to Miss Rohr. This was made in December of 2012. They were not used in court, but this is what he had to say at one point. Take a listen.
You know, I was thinking about that today. It's like, I'm the victim here. I was the one who was victimized. I mean, I don't know how I'm supposed to put it. It's like they attacked me. I'm the victim.
Right.
I'm the victor, but I was the victim too.
It's like he thinks he's in an arena, you know, but he's the only one with the gun, you know, and that because he shot and killed and murdered my son, that he's the victor, like he was in a contest. And all of a sudden my son has a hole in his chest, and he's, you know, but he's the victim, though.
The first time you heard that, I'm assuming that's not the first time you've heard. The first time you heard that, what went through your mind? What did you think?
I thought that this guy was a sociopath, that this guy really shouldn't be in society. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that not only are you unremorseful for shooting down my son and then shooting at the children who were all completely unarmed. But you think that you were somehow good. That's a good thing you did. It was okay. You didn't even dial 911. You know, you thought that it was okay to do so.
John, earlier this week, I interviewed Dunn's attorney, Corey Stroll. I know you saw that interview. I want to play a bit of what he said when I asked him if Jordan did have a gun, which, you know, Dunn, of course, claims that he did. Then why didn't he fire that gun? Take a listen.
I don't believe he either had the time or had the knowledge and ability to do so. And in that aspect, I think once a 17-year-old kid with a gun, even if he thought, I'm just going to scare this guy, I'm going to get that gun out and show him I'm a boss, I'm a big man, mind your own business. When Michael Dunn then turns around and he sees that he racks one in the chamber, even at that point, the kids in the car all ducked, and the only one who said didn't duck was Jordan Davis.
Why, as an attorney, what do you make of that claim? And again, we should note here, police never found a weapon. No one in the car testified that there was a gun.
Since day one, Greg, this has been about victimizing the victim. And that's what they have to do. They have to do it with lies and mistruths. There was no gun. And we're tired of this whole gun theory. You know, they say we can't put in the character evidence of Jordan Davis or go too far into the character evidence of Michael Dunn, but you can portray him as this gun-toting thug, which he wasn't. And so, you know, we're tired of these. And it started with Jose Baez and Mark O'Meara and now Robin Lemonitis on this case and now Corey Stroll. There's got to reach a point where attorneys are liable for the comments, even if they're relaying their clients' mistruth.
I want to talk a little bit more about some of the legal strategy that was employed down there in Florida. John Guy was interviewed by a local station in Florida, WTEV. He said that the state wants to retry Dunn for the first-degree murder charge. This is what he said, though, when asked about how he feels about the job they did.
Do you have run across your mind you wish you had done anything differently?
Always. There's always things you can do differently, different evidence, different arguments, better performance. It's never a perfect trial, so it'll be better the next time.
What do you think?
It's got to be better the next time. You know, we've got to get a conviction here. This isn't Dunn wasn't an attempted murderer. He was a murderer.
What would you have done differently?
You know, there's issues with character evidence. There's issues with how far did they dig into Michael Dunn's background with these ex-wives. And I'm sure you've seen the neighbor video and some of the things that he said about what he knew, that Dunn wasn't peaceful in his community next door. He may have been peaceful in his dad's community, but not in his own.
You were in court every day. I mean,
Yes.
what would you, you know, based on what you saw? And, you know, I know you don't have a legal background, but based on what you saw, I mean, do you feel like the prosecution did the best job they could have done?
I think that the prosecution laid out the facts as they were. And
That's different from they did the best job they could have done.
well, I think there's always room for improvement. Okay, in answer to your question, I think there's room for improvement because just like the picture of Jordan in court, there was an ID picture of Jordan, which you would have on your driver's license, which is so generic. The jury needed to see Jordan as a human being, playing with me, playing with his mom, whatever. Show the picture of Jordan Davis. That's who Jordan Davis was. He wasn't a picture on a driver's license, wasn't a picture on an ID. That's one thing. The other thing is this. The jury instruction is so powerful in these cases, whereas at the end of the trial, this is what they hear. Usually, the last thing you hear is what you remember. When you're in school, the last thing the teacher tells you, that's what you remember. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is all the evidence came in all during the trial. They heard all that first. But what was the last thing they heard? Was 41 pages of jury instruction. And what was in that instruction? Stand your ground. If you have to get into the mind of the shooter, was he thinking that he was in danger? And that's what the jury was thinking about. I wonder if Michael Dunn thought that he was in danger. And so that's why you have a hung jury, because that's the last thing that they negotiated, whether he thought that he was in danger. And that's crazy, because if I think that you are threatening me, do I have a right to shoot you dead because I think you're threatening me? I think you have a gun?
The scales of justice are a little tipped because the white businessman gets the benefit of the doubt and the young black boy doesn't get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of people's minds. And until we figure out how to balance those and show enough character evidence to show this wasn't some thug and Michael Dunn was a thug, then, you know, then we might have a more fair trial.
Ron, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. John Phillips, thank you as well.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
We are also following some developing news in Ukraine.